brings you in today?
I'm tired. I just came from work and exhausted. I'm still struggling with my students. It's very, very challenging.
You're a professor.
Yeah, I teach college students, community college, and I have many students in my class who are not ready for college, and they are self-destructive. And they always don't pay attention to the questions or to the teachings or to the tutorials I prepare for them, and I explain it once and twice and three times, and I come back the day after as if it never happened. They don't take notes, they are not prepared, they don't do their homework. And the more I prepare, the more I get frustrated because I feel like I'm doing my part and more. What about if they do their share of work? Then they will succeed, and they don't. So I feel like I failed. I feel frustrated. I feel like they don't listen to me. I want to be excited. I want to teach them better and more interesting subjects, but we keep getting stuck at the basics, and we never evolve in the classroom to learn better, more interesting things. So I keep feel like I'm stuck in place as well.
So it sounds like what I'm hearing is that your students are frustrating to you because they're not doing their homework, they're not engaging in what you have to teach them.
Yeah, and it's just and every week I feel like, okay, I'm gonna revise my treatment, I'm gonna revise how I deal with them, I'm gonna revise how I explain to them what's the expectation. And I would think it would work, and then by the end of the week we seem to go back to where we started, with no sense of them seeing the light and saying, wow, this is serious, we better work harder or make an effort.
Sounds like it's a lot of work on your part. Can I ask you, is this all of your students, or is this a percentage of your students?
Maybe 40% to 50%.
Okay, so half your students are not doing or working at the level that you'd like to see them work. And what about the other half?
The other half are okay, they're good, they do make more effort, they're learning, they're advancing. But I feel like the slow half stops the whole class from moving. So I can't just ignore them and say they're slow, they're disinterested, they're not doing the work. But if I ignore them, then half the class would fail. And if I engage them, I'm slowing the half that deserves to be advancing and learning more.
I'm curious, how does the other half slow the more progressive students? How does that actually play out in a class setting?
Like if I'm instructing an advanced subject, either they shut down the half that does not have the skills or motivated.
What do you mean by shut down?
They stop paying attention, they stop participating in the exercise. And then I'm talking to only half the class, another half just checks out.
What does that feel like when you're working there and then when they're checking out? What do they do when they check out?
I might be looking at their cell phones, they're about looking at the class, but they're daydreaming. I can tell they're not engaged, they're not even answering the question. You guys got it? Is it clear? And so it's a balancing act. I want to have a larger sum succeed and pass. And 50-50 feels like kind of a low rate. I want to have a better.
What does that mean to you to have a better all over acceptance of your teachings?
I mean, first of all, okay, I understand we all have different abilities, and some students are faster and smarter, and some are disinterested and behind. But it's just the sense. I, as an instructor, I kind of get evaluated on my work. So if 50% of my students fail, that doesn't sound like I'm delivering a good service as an instructor. Maybe I'm missing something.
So it looks like you're not doing the work that you're capable of doing if half the class roughly is not up to speed with the other half. And who does it look like that to? For terrible grammar, but to whom does that look bad?
I mean, I get evaluated by several supervisors in the college, and I'm trying to keep this department alive and interesting. And like, I have 15 students per class this term. If half of them fail, next term we're gonna have only 8, and the school does not want to run courses with only 8 students.
And when you say the school won't run a course, first of all, how do you know it would only be 8?
If out of 15
Like half of them don't do well.
don't do well, then it just becomes a burden on me as an instructor in the future. So I need to.
So you're worried perhaps that they won't run your class, or how does it
It
manifest?
happens something like this course. I'm running a contract class where I should just speak with the students infrequently, and I don't get paid for it. But I end up teaching it like a regular class because, again, if I don't meet with the students and motivate them and kind of convince them to do the work and engage them, then they will drop out further. So I have to, even if it's costly to me to have a high dropout rate. I mean, if 2 students fail out of 15, that's no problem. That just happens. But when 7 falls out of 15, that's just too much for me to deal with.
Right. And so to get these other students engaged, what would that involve, would you say?
It's hard to change people in one semester, but like today I gave them an evaluation sheet and explained to them how am I evaluating them on which levels, and I asked them to evaluate each other. The worst students evaluated the worst students by giving them 50 out of 50, even though obviously they were not even close to that. As I don't know, they either embarrassed from each other or
They gave each other 50 out of 50?
yeah.
And they weren't even close to 50?
They weren't even
They
close
were
to
like
50.
lower than 50?
Then maybe 30.
Okay.
I would give them 30, but they gave themselves 50. So they have an
Okay.
inflated sense of reality and what's appropriate and what's accepted from a college student at this day and age.
Yeah.
So-
Now, you said they were sort of inflating the grades
Of
for
each
the other,
other.
of each other, the other not necessarily good students.
Yep.
Right. If you were to put yourself in their shoes, what would you think the motivation would be to do that?
Well, probably they're trying to protect each other. They don't want to
From what?
from getting a bad grade, from being disliked because they're being harsh critics of their classmates.
Is there anyone else who's a harsh critic in your class?
Besides me,
I don't know.
I don't feel like I'm a harsh critic. I'm just want to be fair, and also for a fact I'm generous. But I cannot tell someone they're doing great when they're mediocre and they're falling behind. It's not fair for them.
Okay. So if it's not fair for them to be sort of inflated by their instructor, their grades inflated,
Yeah.
what is it that you're doing that you think might keep them at this level, or rather, what are you doing that you think would help to raise them up a little bit, if anything?
Today I was talking with Badadi that when we learn better as a group. There's value in community learning. That if the guy next to me or the girl next to me knows something I don't know, it's okay to ask them and learn from them and teach them what I know, so we all learn together.
How do they take that?
They're okay, but I think they've been still taught to think as individuals. They don't think that we can learn from each other as a group, and it takes a little bit of energy to kind of make them feel cohesive and feel them.
Yeah.
Because if they feel like they belong to this class, maybe then it will start to matter. But there is definitely. I mean, the biggest problem. They don't think it matters. even if they fail the class.
So that's interesting that you say they don't feel like it matters. And you had said earlier that it matters a great deal to you,
Yeah.
your performance. So I want to bring it back to you for a second. I mean, it's very important that, the class might not run if you have a half failing rate or a half success rate. Is there anything else that resonates for you about this feeling? You said you actually used the word failure earlier, that you might have failed in some way. So what's that? Tell me more about that description of what failing feels like, or what it means.
Maybe I'm hyper conscious and taking it too personally on myself to be responsible for these kids' futures. And I feel like sometimes I can't stop them from doing what they want to do, which may harm them, but I'm not in a position to save them or change their trajectory.
What position are you in?
I mean, I can advise them, I can inspire them, I can motivate them, but I cannot make them what they don't want to make, what they want to be.
Yeah.
And I have to be realistic about my expectations. And if half the class is not qualified to pass and we don't pass, then that's not my fault.